Now, there's been a lot of bombs being dropped in the Middle East, and if you think for a second that the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, those guys are getting upset every time they have a bomb dropped on their oil facilities, think again. For every dollar that oil prices go up, Saudi Arabia is making an additional, just Saudi Arabia alone, is making an additional $200 million a month. And every time a bomb is dropped, oil prices go up at least $1. Look, I'm here to tell you, it's not what you think. Here's the thing. What most analysts make the mistake, they don't see oil prices as being emotional. Saudi Arabia, Russia, Iran, OPEC, they are angry. They want oil prices to go up simply to be able to provide for their family, to provide for their country, to keep them from starving. Here in America, nobody's starving. We're the richest country in the world, but what's amazing about this whole thing, every time a bomb is dropped in the Middle East, they become richer, and not only do they become richer, so does America. The number one country that Saudi Arabia is buying weaponry, military protection from is America. We become richer every time a bomb is dropped in the Middle East. I mean, guys, there's so many politics involved in war in the Middle East, and there is too much money to be made from war. We're going to see more bombs dropped in the Middle East. Just get ready for it. Oil prices rises above $70 after attacks on Saudi oil facilities. Now, oil prices briefly rose above $70 a barrel for the first time in 14 months after Saudi Arabia, the world's top oil exporter, said its energy facilities had been attacked on Sunday, targeting the security and stability of global oil prices. A drone attack from the sea on a petroleum storage tank at Ras Tarana, one of the largest oil shipping ports in the world, took place on Sunday morning, the kingdom said. Saudi-led coalition carries out 32 airstrikes against Houthi rebels. Israel strikes Iranian oil tankers bound for Syria. Arab coalition launches airstrikes after Houthis cross red line with the civilian drone attacks in Saudi Arabia. Yemen's Houthi rebels claim missile attack against Saudi Aramco oil site. Houthis strike Saudi oil giants' facilities in the kingdom's east. Saudi vows to protect oil facilities and global oil facilities and global supply after latest attacks. Listen, guys, Russia is pulling the strings of the Houthi rebels. Iran is backing the Houthi rebels. I mean, it's a proxy war from Iran, and Russia and Iran are in cahoots. I'm telling you right now, OPEC doesn't just get together and curb oil production in order to increase oil prices. They use war as well. I mean, every time a bomb is dropped, Russia is the second biggest seller of arms, of military weapons. They're number two. So every time a bomb is dropped, Russia not only becomes richer from selling military weaponry, but also because of the increase of oil prices. I mean, listen, guys, you got to be a complete fool not to believe that war is part of their diplomatic plan, specifically just to increase oil prices. Guys, this is not fundamental. Okay, there are some major wild cards, and thousands of miles away in the Middle East, terrorists are controlling oil prices. Okay, now I like this article, and I appreciate these articles now because in the past I was the only guy talking about it, and people laughed at me. Okay, and now I'm laughing back at them. How oil could go to $100 a barrel? EIA forecasts this month's world oil consumption at 96.7 million barrels per day. The oil supply, however, is much lower, only 93.6, with the difference of 3.1 million barrels a day of necessity being drawn from crude oil and refined product inventories. By historical standards, a sustained draw of 3 million barrels a day is large, and we would expect prices to be rising under such circumstances. Okay, the EIA uses a volume-driven model, implying that OPEC will passively increase production to meet demand and thereby keep oil prices low. But why would OPEC do this? If OPEC simply maintained current production levels, the world would be 3.5 million barrels a day short of supply by mid-year. A shortfall of 3.5 million barrels a day, 3.6% of global consumption, is a lot. It would rapidly drain remaining excess inventories, leaving only oil prices to mediate between supply and demand, just as the world economy is showing both strength and momentum as the pandemic ends. In other words, in the coming months, consumers will be prepared to compete for the available barrels of oil, and that should push oil prices up sharply. Look, you can't take that much oil off the market for months without oil prices sharply going up. And this gentleman believes that we will see $100 a barrel of oil, and nobody's laughing at him. Okay. And so the writing is on the wall, guys. OPEC is in this thing to bring oil prices to a level that they can sustain their economy. They're hurting right now, and they've been hurting for a long time. Okay. API surprises analysts with an unexpected crude draw. The American Petroleum Institute reported on Tuesday a surprise draw in crude oil inventories of 1 million barrels for the week. Lithium. Now, this had me laughing. I told you guys, I said, watch lithium prices. They're going to double. Okay. And so lithium prices have soared 88%. Now, this is the biggest issue with green technology is that they don't have any way to really store enough energy for the nighttime because solar power panels, they only run on the sun, and wind turbines only run on the wind. And so when it's not windy and the sun isn't shining, you need batteries. Well, without enough batteries, there is no way we could go to green. And so that is the bottleneck. And so it just got that much harder. I told you before, hey, the lithium is going to rapidly increase, and now the cost of battery is increasing. And so the chances of going to green are growing slimmer and slimmer. Global oil demand could exceed pre-COVID levels without clean energy moves. The IEA influential report found that rebound in oil demand, particularly in developing economies across Asia, could lead to the world's appetite for crude to break above 100 million barrels of oil a day for the first time by 2023. It comes after a warning from the IEA last summer that the world's daily oil demand may climb at its fastest rate in history of the market in 2021 unless green policies are adopted to dampen a record-breaking oil demand rebound. To date, the government efforts to establish a green economic recovery are failing, even to reach the levels of green spending seen in stimulus that followed the 2008 financial crisis. IEA's predictions for the year ahead shows the world oil demand may climb by 5.5 million barrels of oil a day, one of the fastest annual climbs on record to an average of 96.6 million barrels a day. The oil demand surge is expected to continue through IEA's forecast, which extends to 2026, where it reaches above 104 million barrels a day. This would be more than 4 million barrels a day higher than in 2019 during a crucial decade for reducing carbon emissions. Look, guys, they failed. The green tech guys have failed. The administration has failed. I told you what happened, and here we are. But here's something I want you to see here. If you look here, Saudi Arabia, their break-even point for oil prices is $67 a barrel. The UAE, $66 a barrel. Qatar is $38 a barrel. Oman is $109 a barrel. Libya, $124 a barrel. Kuwait, $65. Iran, let's see here. Iraq, $64. Iran, $395 a barrel. That's because they can't even sell it. Bahrain, 83. Algeria, 135. Look, guys, none of them could survive on it, except maybe one country here in OPEC, Qatar. None of them can survive for under $60 a barrel. All these guys want $100 oil. All of these guys are in the Middle East, and all of these guys don't have a problem with dropping bombs on each other. It's like, hey, we're not going to be over in this area. If you'd like to drop a bomb over here and we'll put it out in the news, we got a whole team. We're going to put out drones to record the black smoke, and we're going to have a media team on it, and then we're going to send it out to the world. That causes oil prices to go up, and that it increases the value of their oil. Guys, they're playing a game. The Biden administration enforcing these green policies that are not working is only reducing oil production, increasing oil prices, while demand is continuing to increase. Guys, we're on a collision course for very high oil prices. I'm going to keep my eye on this thing. I'm glad to be back. I had to go to Texas, had to help some family. They were crushed by this winter storm, and it was fun to see all the green tech freeze and stop working. But anyways, I'm Sean Pruitt, president of Kingdom Exploration. If you have any questions, feel free to call me. I'd love to chat with you, and we'll talk soon. Thanks.